Hello everyone. Myself Dr. Ashwini CS, a first year postgraduate in Department of Psychiatry at BIMS. Today I'll be taking a class on signs and symptoms in psychiatry. Um, in psychiatry, like other branches of medicine, you don't see any clearly demarcated signs and symptoms. That is, for a particular disease, you won't have that particular signs. There are signs and symptoms which will be found in some group of disorders, and that is how we elicit some of the symptoms and signs. So basically, what are symptoms and signs? Symptoms is what a subjective experiences. That is what the patient presents the complaint to us, and signs is what is elicited by the clinician. Okay, so in psychiatry, the common signs and symptoms we come across are delusions, illusions, hallucination, symptoms of mood disorders, catatonia, etc. So we will be discussing about them in detail in further. First, coming to illusions, these are the disorders of perception. Here, there is misinterpretation of the stimuli which is arising from an external object. In this, there is an object from which there is a stimulus which is emanating, but this stimuli is perceived in a different way, which is like the stimulus is along with the mental image brings about a false perception. For example, if you see a rope lying on the floor, you think that it is a snake. So the stimulus that is coming from the object, that is a rope, and with the mental image of snake, you consider the rope as a snake. This is false perception. So it is not mandatory that illusions are seen only in case of psychiatric illness. It can be occurring normally also, especially when you are stressed or when you are scared. So various type of illusions that are seen are visual or optical illusions, which are most commonly found, auditory illusions, tactile illusions. The various types of illusion, there is basically three types of illusions that is seen. One is completion illusion. Completion illusion is one where you misreading of words in newspapers or missing misprints, because we read the words as if they were complete. Like for example, when you see in newspaper a faded OK, it might stand for book, but you might read it as a look. And here in the example in the pic shown here, actually the word which is written is VW, that is Volkswagen bar Audi, but the person, because of the faded thing, he'll read it as Vivaldi. Second one is affect illusions. This depends on the mood status of the person. If in case in a family someone dies and the person will be in the grieving, he might sometimes notice that he has seen that deceased person. This is affect illusions. Third one is pareidolia. This is seeing vivid illusions without any effort from the patient or which occurs against his will. It's like a fantasy thinking. For example, seeing vivid pictures in fire or in clouds, or as in the example, you're seeing the face of a person in the mountains. These are pareidolia. Another concept called as trailing phenomenon. These not as strictly illusions, but here moving objects are seen as a series of discrete or discontinuous images. Like here in the picture, a single hand, it's found as like many multiple hands, like as if it is moving. So this is called as trailing phenomenon. These are seen in people who are associated with misuse of hallucinogenic drugs. Next, coming to hallucinations. Whereas illusions, there is a stimuli present from an object. In case of hallucination, there is no external stimulus, but still the false perception occurs. Uh, what is the difference between perceptions and mental images? Perceptions, these occur in the objective space, that is in the external world with some stimuli, whereas mental image occur in subjective space within the person's mind. Perceptions are clearly delineated. You can clearly say it is as an something else, but mental images are not clearly delineated. It may be or may not be. Perceptions are constant, whereas mental images are inconstant. And perceptions are independent of the will, whereas mental images are dependent on the will. Sensory elements in perceptions are full and fresh, whereas mental images, it needs to be recreated. What are the causes for hallucinations? Major cause, it might be due to the intense emotions. That is most commonly seen in case of a depressed person or schizophrenia. Where schizophrenia, they have command hallucination, which we will be hearing it later. Command is like hearing of voices, do that, do this. These are the hallucinations. Suggestion, that is on hypnosis. On instructions, you hallucinate. These are the hallucinations which occur due to suggestion, or it may be due to some disorders of the peripheral sense organs, like any diseases of the eye or the ear. You like optic tract some diseases, it causes some hallucinations, visual and auditory. And sensory deprivation, this is when a person who is put in a room, in a dark room, without any light or without any stimuli, is put in the dark room for a long time. That person, after a particular amount of days, he'll start hallucinating that as if somebody is banging the door, or someone is walking and coming, or he's seeing some ray of light. This is what hallucination which occur in case of sensory deprivation. And also in cases of disorders of CNS, you during some due to some lesion somewhere, you might see some hallucinations. So there are various type of hallucination, that is auditory hallucination, there is visual hallucination, gustatory, tactile, olfactory hallucination. We'll be discussing about them detail now on. So auditory hallucinations, it might be elementary hallucinations or some complex. Like elementary hallucination is like simple noises, bells, or some ringing sensation, or it might be the wind. Those are elementary hallucinations, or it might be undifferentiated whispers or voices, or like voices of someone talking. Auditory hallucinations are most commonly seen in alcohol dependence syndrome, that too when they are abstinent, most commonly found, and in case of schizophrenia where they hear voices, and can be seen in delirium, dementia, and in case of severe depression. The voices which we heard in the auditory hallucination, they may be clear voices, or they may be vague. They may be male or female. They may be single voice, or they may be multiple voice. And these they may be familiar voices or unfamiliar voices. And initially the patients will be disturbed by these voices, but later they won't be that disturbed, and they'll be knowing from what direction it is coming, and they'll be able to tell what is the gender of the voice, whether it is a familiar person or unfamiliar person, etc. These auditory hallucinations, they may be abusive, they may be neutral or helpful, but most commonly it is abusive, that is derogatory. So the three types of auditory hallucination: first person, second person, and third person auditory hallucination. First person auditory hallucination is audible thoughts or thought echo. That is what the person is thinking, he can hear it after a certain amount of time. That is first person auditory hallucination. Second person auditory hallucination, there is a single voice or two voices which are talking directly to him, like you do that, you do this. Those are the second person auditory hallucination. Whereas third person auditory hallucination, here the patient hears voices. There may be two or more voices which may be discussing among themselves about the patient, or which might be referring to him in the third person, like he is doing that, he is going there. The voice keeps commentating that he is doing that. Okay, whereas in second person it is like you are doing. It is directly talking to the person. It's like that. Next, coming to visual hallucinations. Visual hallucinations, they occur in the form of flashes of light, or it might be visions of people, of objects, or animals. These are most commonly seen in acute organic states, or in case of substance abuse disorders. If they see some patients when they are in delirium, they see small animals and insects hallucination. That is, insects or animals are crawling on them. Usually visual hallucinations come isolated, that is only visual hallucination, but sometimes it can be accompanied with the auditory hallucination, so both can be seen. It's seen in case of temporal lobe epilepsy or late onset schizophrenia. Next is olfactory hallucination. It is hallucinations of odor. It is also called as phantosmia. These are most commonly seen in case of schizophrenia in organic states and in case of depressive psychosis, but it is very uncommon in this. Here the people feel that they are getting some weird or bad smell and all. So there is a disease called as olfactory reference syndrome. Here they feel that some bad smell is emanating from them, and because of that they feel that people are avoiding them, and they have the tendency to keep bathing repeatedly to avoid that smell. That is olfactory reference syndrome. And Padre Pio phenomenon is they get a sweet smell. Like unlike other olfactory hallucinations where they usually get a bad smell, here they get a sweet rose-like smell from people like priest and all. So it is called as Padre Pio phenomenon. Next is gustatory, that is this one, taste. So hallucinations of the taste, it's also called as phantasmagoria. These occur in case of schizophrenia and acute organic states. In depressed patient, most not like a gustatory hallucination, but they also tend to have the loss of taste or altered taste and feel that all food tastes the same. Even if it is a tasty food, they feel that it doesn't taste well. They have that feeling. They feel the full world is grey. It's of no use, and such feelings they get. Next, coming to tactile hallucinations. Tactile hallucination is hallucination of touch, sun sensation. So they'll have that feeling that some small animals are crawling over their body. That is called as formication. These are seen in acute organic states and in substance abuse patients. And there is something called cocaine psychosis. Here the patients have formication, that is a feeling of animals crawling over the body, and also have delusions of persecution, which will be discussed later. But delusion of persecution is like somebody is coming to hit them or hurt them. So along with this formication and delusion of persecution, it's called, known as cocaine bug. The most common tactile hallucinations that are experienced are like something animals crawling, in small insects crawling over the body. It might be cold wind blowing on the face when there is no wind, or there may be pins and needle sensations, which cannot be explained by any other disease. There's something called as visceral hallucinations. These are most commonly seen in case of chronic schizophrenia patients. Here, the patients they complain of having a twisting and tearing pains. They feel that their organs are being twisted and they are being ripped off. Okay. Also, there is a concept of delusional zoopathy where they feel the animals are crawling around his body. They may be associated with tumors of thalamus. There is something called extra campaign hallucination, which comes under special hallucination. Here it is like a patient sees that somebody is standing behind them when they are looking straight ahead. They are seeing front, but they feel that somebody is there, or they are feeling that they are hearing somebody talking, even though that person is miles away. If the person is around 2 to 5 kilometers away, he feels that that person is talking now, and he can hear him right now where he is standing, even though the person is kilometers away. So this is extra campaign hallucinations. These are seen in case of schizophrenia or in organic conditions including epilepsy. Most commonly seen in case of schizophrenia. Autoscopy or phantom mirror image. Here the person feels like he's seeing oneself in front of him, and he knows that it is himself who is being in front of him. So this can be seen, need not necessary that it is seen only in psychiatric illness. It can be seen in normal people when they're emotionally upset or when exhausted. But in case of any psychiatric illness, it is seen in case of schizophrenia. Okay, they here is a physical body, and it is like autoscopy is he is seeing his mirror image in front of him. Okay, which is a parasomatic body. Negative autoscopy is where a person who stands in front of the mirror, and normally when you stand in front of the mirror you are able to see your mirror image, but in case of negative autoscopy he'll not be able to see his mirror image. He'll be seeing a blank mirror with nobody there. This is seen in case of some organic states, like it can be with any delirium or something, or can be during substance abuse also. Whereas internal otoscopy is when a person is standing in front of the mirror, he thinks that he can see his internal organs, his visceral organs can be seen in front of him in the mirror. That is internal otoscopy. He can see his internal organs in front of him. There is another hallucinations known as hypnopompic and hypnagogic hallucinations. These are the hallucinations which occur when the person is going to sleep or is coming up, awakening from the sleep. These hypnopompic hallucinations are the ones which hallucinations which occur when the person is awakening from the sleep. Okay. And hypnagogic hallucinations are the hallucinations which occur on going to sleep, and these are most commonly found. It's not necessary that these hallucinations are present only with psychiatric illness. It can occur in normal people also, and it is if it is with an illness, it is seen in case of narcolepsy. Organic hallucinations. These are the in case of some disorders of the eyes or CNS tracts. Most commonly seen as phantom limb. Phantom limb here, what it is like, a patient feels that they have a limb from which they are not receiving any sensation. It may be because it is amputated or the sensory pathways have been destroyed, but still they feel that they have the limb and they are receiving the sensation, um, from which they are not receiving the sensation, but they feel that they have the limb. This concept of phantom organ also, which is after mastectomy or enucleation of the eye, the patients after mastectomy, the female feels that she still has the breast, and enucleation, even after the removal of the eye, they feel that the patient still has the eye. These are phantom organ and phantom limb under organic hallucinations. Next, coming to disorders of the thought, which consist of in the disorders of thought tempo, there is a flight of ideas. Normal train of thought which happens is when we are thinking about one thing, we go in the same flow. We don't switch over to one thought to one. We don't. So, on what basis we are talking, we go on with that. But in case of flight of ideas, thoughts follow each other rapidly. There is no general direction of thinking. And even the connection between the successive thoughts appear due to chance factors. For example, here there is an example of a manic patient. When the patient was asked where the patient lived, she told it is like Birmingham, king, king standing, see the king, he's standing, king, king, sing, sing, bird on the wing, wing, wing on the bird, bird, turd, turd. Like just on asking, she had to tell that I'm staying in Birmingham in this street. But she related from Birmingham to King, and from the King, she related that the King is standing, and King is singing. The sing is associated with the birds, so bird, bird, and its wing. Like that, from each thought, like from one idea to another idea, there is a switch over happening. So the thought process is not going on the same thing. She is switching over to different thoughts. So this is most commonly seen in case of mania. Whereas inhibition or slowing of thinking, here the train of thought is slowed down. The number of ideas and mental images that usually occurs to a normal person is decreased. That is, if asking something, the patient won't reply it very fast. There is some slowness and retarded thinking that happens. Um, so the amount of ideas or the thoughts that come to the person is decreased. The patient will have difficulty in making decision, will have lack of concentration and attention, and complaints of loss of memory, since the person is not able to have a proper concentration, and so he'll not be able to understand what has been told. So to cover up that, he will develop his own ideas, which may be overvalued and delusional idea. Okay, these are most commonly seen in case of depression. Circumstantiality is here when asking a person, instead of telling the right to the point answer, he gives a lot of unnecessary details, and but finally the what question has been asked, that will be answered. For example, if you ask what is your name, I am supposed to tell my name is Ashwini, but I will tell actually my mother's name is this one, my father's name is this one, I have these many siblings, my first sibling's name is this, second siblings, and my name is Ashwini. Come to that, but the final point is reached. It's basically like beating around the bush, but the final point is reached. So these are commonly seen in personality traits, and also it may be associated with epilepsy. It may be seen in learning disabilities, in obsessional personality traits, schizophrenia, and schizoaffective disorder. Whereas in the disorders of thinking, continuity of thinking, there is something called perseveration. Perseveration is thoughts persist beyond the point at which they are relevant. Like even though on asking the same thing repeatedly, the answer given by the person is same. Like, what is your name? I tell Ashwini. What is your mother's name? Ashwini. What is your father's name? What is the prime minister's name? Ashwini. What is the country's name? Ashwini. For every question, the answer is the same. That is called perseveration. This perseveration may be verbal or it might be ideational. Okay. So these perseveration are most commonly seen in case of organic diseases of the brain. Next is thought blocking. Here, when a person is talking, like normally he's giving a lecture or something. Suddenly he has like he's telling something and he stops, and after some time he'll continue on a different topic only. So this is something like thought. An example, a vague example for thought block. occurs when there is a sudden arrest of train of thought, leaving a blank. And after that blank occurs, there might be an entirely different train of thought will be followed. The previous thought which he was thinking, that will be lost, and the new thought will be spoken. So this is highly suggestive of schizophrenia. This may be seen in normal people also when they are exhausted and anxious also. Next, coming to disorders of possession of the thought. Under this, we have obsessions and compulsions. Normally, whatever we think, that is our own thinking and is under our own control. Whatever we think is under our own control. In obsessions, what happens? The person will have a thought in his mind, and that thought will persist beyond relevance and will dominate an individual's thinking. So this person knows that the thought is not it is not of any use, it is without any purpose, and it has persisted and dominated the thinking beyond the point of relevance and usefulness. It kinds of the thought which occurs to this mind person will cause anxiety and even guilt. Such a thought will be there. It keeps on repeating, even if they want to avoid, it keeps on persisting. This is how obsessions will present. The obsessions, it might be like an thought, or it can be an idea, or it can be an image. Okay. Obsessions is a thought that comes relevance, which is intrusive. Repeatedly, it will come. It may be irrational also. Whereas compulsions are obsessional impulse that leads to action. When the person acts on these obsessions, these repeated thoughts, the action is called as compulsion. So, obsessions is like a thought which occurs repeatedly, and the person acting on those obsessions is compulsions. Okay. They feel that it's not under their own control, and some that thought which is occurring is kind of influencing, overpowering their thinking process. And the common obsessions and compulsions which we come around is like repeated thoughts or ideas which comes, or repeated washing of the hands, repeated checking the door, gas connection, or even some people get repeated sexual thoughts. These are the common obsessions and compulsions that we come across. So there is a visual cycle of the OCD. First, the obsessive thought, which is like repeatedly, which is coming to them, and kind of purposeless thought. It comes to their mind. As this thought is something that usually causes anxiety to the person, because of the thought, they are painfully get anxious. To relieve the anxiousness, they feel they have to act upon that obsessional thought. So they do the act, that is a compulsive behavior. After doing the compulsive behavior, the patient finds temporary relief of few minutes or few seconds or few hours, but then again the obsessive thought comes. So it is a vicious cycle which keeps on happening. Next, there is a concept of thought alienation. Thought alienation, here usually, as we saw, that our thought is under our own thinking, it is our own. But here the people feel that whatever thoughts, thinking they have, that it is not theirs and is under control of an outside agency. Here there is three concepts: thought insertion, thought deprivation or thought withdrawal, and thought broadcasting. Thought insertion is where the person feels that thoughts are being put into his mind by a foreign agency, or by a different person, or by a foreign person, and it is being put into his mind, and they recognize that these thoughts are not mine, they are put from outside. So these are commonly associated with in case of schizophrenia. Thought withdrawal is some foreign influence is removing a thought from his mind, such that the thoughts suddenly disappear and being withdrawn from the mind. Okay, and thought broadcasting is as the person is thinking, even other people are able to think and are getting to know what the person is thinking. So when I am thinking like I have to do this, he feels that other people are getting to know that what I am thinking, or they feel that his whatever he is thinking is being broadcasted, is being heard through radio, or through phone. Other people are able to hear. Difference between thought broadcasting and thought echo. Thought echo is where the person is able to hear his own thoughts. Whatever he has thought, he is able to hear after some time. Thought broadcasting is other people are able to hear what he's thinking at the same time. Next is disorder of content of thinking, delusions. As you all know, delusion is a false, unshakable belief that is out of keeping with the patient's social and cultural background. Delusion is false. and is unshakable, because no matter how much evidence you give it to the person that this is not there, it is not true, they are not able to accept that. They firmly believe that it is true even though it is not. So it is an unshakable belief, and it is out of like it will not correlate with the patient's social and cultural background. So, and they are overvalued ideas. They are of abrupt onset, content that is implausible, and relative indifference to other people's opinion. So even though other people give their opinion that it is not there, they are not bothered. They firmly believe that it is there. Different types of delusions. There is delusion of persecution, infidelity, reference, delusion of love, delusion of grandiosity, etc. We'll be discussing about them now. So first one is delusion of persecution. Here the person feels that people are trying to kill him, are coming to hurt him. And there is also delusion of reference, where where a person feels that people are talking about him, people are about to spy on him, people are coming to hurt him. That is what occurs in delusion of reference. These delusion of persecution, delusion of reference are seen in case of schizophrenia, in depressive illness, mostly in severe depressive illness, and other psychotic illnesses. They'll have even delusion of being poisoned, that is more poison washed commonly by the spouse. And this delusion occurs because they'll also have associated hallucination of smell and taste. They feel that the food is different in taste, so my spouse has poisoned the food. Delusion of infidelity is the most commonly seen. It occurs in case of organic and functional disorders. Here, the patient is suspicious that his or her spouse is having an affair with someone. But what will happen is, even before the illness starts, they'll have some pre-morbid jealousy traits in them. So this will give rise to delusion of infidelity. This is seen in case of schizophrenia and organic brain disorders, in alcohol dependence syndrome, etc. Delusion of love is called erotomania or fantasy lover syndrome. Here, the people is convinced that someone is in love with them, especially a person of higher status is in love with that person. These are commonly seen in abnormally personality traits. Then there is delusion of grandiosity. Here, the person believes that they are God, or they are the Queen of England, or they are some famous persons. Like in the image, the cat, when looking in the mirror, he thinks that it is a tiger, or a person looking in mirror feels that he is a Superman. So they feel that they have some superpowers, or they are someone, a very important person with huge powers at their hand. Okay, these delusions may also be supported by auditory hallucination, which help them, which support them in telling that yes, you are an important person, you are a famous person, you have these powers. Okay, these delusions of grandiosity are most commonly seen in case of mania, so manic psychosis, and bipolar affective disorder. Delusion of poverty, which is most commonly seen in depression, where the people feel that they are poor, they are impoverished, and they feel that destitution is facing them and family, and they might lose everything. They feel that delusion. Delusion of ill health. Here, the person feels that he is suffering from a serious disease, like he may be having cancer, he may be having tuberculosis, AIDS, brain tumor. So, because of that, he'll be anxious about it. He'll be fearful. He'll be fearful whether he'll die, and all those things. So, these are commonly seen in depression and in schizophrenia. Then there is the delusion of guilt. Delusion of guilt, here it is seen in case of severe depression. They feel that they are a very evil person, and they have caused a lot of problem and ruined their family. They may be also associated nihilistic ones. Nihilistic ones is where we'll be discussing later, where they feel that they do not exist, they don't have a mind, they don't have a body. Because of this delusion of the guilt, they might have these kind of feelings. And this delusion of guilt may also give rise to delusion of persecution. That is, the person feels guilty that he has done some mistake, so he feels that there might be someone who they might come and hit him, or come and kill me. Because of the guilt that he has done some mistake, someone might come and kill me. They have those kind of delusions of persecution. Nihilistic delusions. Here, the patient denies the existence of having a body, their mind, They feel that their loved ones don't exist and the world around them also doesn't exist. They feel they have no mind, no intelligence, or their body part doesn't exist, like that. It may be seen in case of severe or agitated depression, in schizophrenia, and in states of delirium. These delusions may also be associated with delusions of enormity. Delusions of enormity are the ones where the person feels even a small act of them might cause a big catastrophe and cause danger to the world. That is, they feel that if they urinate, that because of them urinating, there might cause floods and the world might get destroyed. So they refuse to urinate. This is called delusions of enormity. They are mostly associated with nihilistic delusions. Neologism is kind of speech disorder. Here, the person creates new words which have some special meaning only to them, or they might jumble up the ordinary words and may use it in a different way. So these do not have any vocabulary; they do not have any meaning, but might hold some meaning to the person that who have invented it. So this can be seen in case of schizophrenia. Next, coming to mood. Mood is something which is pervasive and sustained emotion that colors the person's perception of the world. Mood is like a particular mood which is present throughout the day. Because of that mood, the person is able to perceive the stimulus in the world and is able to sustain it. That is like mood. You might be happy throughout the day. Because of that, you will take everything in a positive way. Affect is what is the person's present at a particular time, what is the present emotional responsiveness of the patient. That is the affect. Mood is pervasive throughout the time. Affect is cross sectional at that particular point of time. Various types of mood and affect that can be seen is euthymic. Euthymic mood is which is normally me and you have. That is, it is a person will be calm, will be pleasant, will be friendly, will be normal. Okay, euphoric. Okay, we'll also be euphoric at times. We'll be happy, we'll be cheerful, we'll be elated, ecstatic. Elated is little higher level than happy, and ecstatic is still higher level, where we'll be more happy. Okay, angry. When angry during that, they will be frustrated, irritable, impatient, hostile, and apathetic, like dull, indifference to anything you tell. They're like lost in their own world, blunt, flat affect, etc. Dysphoric, the patient will be feeling sad, hopeless, he'll be grieving, or he'll be like crying all the time. Those are dysphoric type of moods. Apprehensive is fearful type of mood. Anxious, frightened, nervous, that anything can happen anytime. Those kind of mood effects. So two major disorders associated with depression and mania that you need to know. Depression is dysphoria. Dysphoria means the person is sad, is grieving, is kind of feeling hopeless, or it's also another term is melancholia. The person who is in depression, they'll have sadness of mood. They'll be always having crying spells. They'll have loss or reduced interest. They'll usually previously pleasurable activities will not be bringing them that much of interest and pleasure now. They'll feel that they don't have any energy. They'll not be able to concentrate. Will have poor attention span. They'll have decreased sleep, decreased appetite, hopelessness that my life is not any worthlessness feelings also will be there. So in the first picture you can see the major depressive symptoms are low mood, changes in appetite, sleep disturbances, agitation, fatigue, difficulty concentrating. Mania, where it is little opposite. Depression is kind of the downs and the mania is ups. So mania is there will be elation. They'll be very happy, like more than happy, and they'll have grandiose delusions like that I am someone huge, I am a famous person, important person. They'll have increased energy and social inappropriateness, that over familiarity. Even though they don't know, they'll go and talk to the strangers as if they know them. Irritability also may be there. So in the picture there we can see less sleep, the patient risky behavior, that is they'll have gambling tendency to gamble or take some risky decisions, and irritability, flight of ideas, as I have explained that time. From one idea to another idea they keep on going on, and rapid speech, high tone and increased speech will be there, and even hypersexuality may be there. Anxiety is there, that is, there is a fear for no adequate reason. For no reason or for some particular reason, you will have a fear. Your terms used for anxiety can be tension, stress, taut like a wire. These are the usual terms which I used. Whenever anxiety occurs, there is an attack of anxiety, there will be certain physical symptoms like palpitations or sweating, difficulty breathing, dizziness, tremors, etc. These are the autonomic symptoms which are associated with during the anxiety attacks. If usually anxiety, that is fearful, it occurs due to some particular reason, but if it occurs for no reason, de novo, and it occurs suddenly and with all these other symptoms, then it is called as panic attack. Panic attack can occur, for example, if you get stuck in a lift, or you are among a group of people where you are scared, all those things. Phobia. If a fear is restricted to one particular object, to situation or an idea, like, then it is called as phobia. If the fear is only related to one particular object and not other things, for example, if you see a dog and then you're scared, but you're not scared to cat, then it is phobia to dogs. So these phobias also may be associated with symptoms of anxiety like palpitations and all, and also with the avoidance. They try to avoid that situation so that they won't get that attacks. Usually they try to avoid, but at some times when they won't be able to avoid, they'll get those attacks. The most common types are agoraphobia, claustrophobia, hydrophobia, hemophobia. Agoraphobia is the fear of open spaces. Claustrophobia is fear of enclosed spaces like lifts or small rooms, etc. Hydrophobia is fear of water. Hemophobia, fear of blood. And other you can see with nature, natural environment, animals, situations, mutilation or medical treatment, etc. And the last one, that is catatonia. Catatonia is one of the psychiatric illness which it presents in case of psychotic disorders or in case of mood disorders. These are the few features which suggest that a person might be in catatonia. It is more of a motor involvement disorder. So the some of the features are mutism. The patient might have complete absence of speech. He'll not be having talking, respond to you on any of the commands. And rigidity, that is maintenance of a rigid posture against efforts to be moved. Like he would have flexed his arm, and even if you ask him to extend, he won't extend it. It will be in a flexed state only. Negativism is if, like, he has flexed his arm, but you ask him to extend, he won't. Even though to all commands and attempts to be moved, even if you try to extend forcefully, he will just again flex it only. That is negativism, doing the opposite of what you are told. And posturing, they'll voluntarily assume an posture which is inappropriate or maybe bizarre for a long period of time. They might stand in the corner for hours together, or stand on one leg in a corner for hours together. They'll assume inappropriate posture and it will be bizarre, or they might twist their leg in a different way and stand. This is posturing. Then stupor, there is, or akinesis, there is no movement with mutism, but there is evidence of relative preservation of conscious awareness will be there, but they will not move. They'll be mute and they'll be like as if they are dumbstruck over there. They'll be there like that only. Echolalia, there is repetition or mimicking whatever the person says. Suppose if I repeat some word, they keep repeating that one. That is echolalia. Whereas ecopraxia is certain actions that if I do in front of that person, he keeps repeating those actions. That is ecopraxia. Okay. And waxy flexibility. Here, waxy flexibility is the person places the parts of the body, his arms or legs, in a certain position that will be maintained for a period of time, even if that position is uncomfortable. He might twist his, like in the first picture, he has flexed his lower limb, and it's not a comfortable position to stand, and he has twisted his positioned his arms and hands also in a different way. This is uncomfortable position, but still they will maintain that position, like they are flexible like a wax, so it is called as waxy flexibility, even in the second position. Ambitendency is due to ambivalence. conflicting impulse and tentative actions are made, but no goal directed action occurs. Like ambivalence is to do and not to do. Like that. So, for example, if you ask a person to protrude his tongue, initially he'll protrude his tongue out, but then he'll put it back. That is, first he'll do it for what you're asked, but then again he feels that he shouldn't do, so he'll take it back. This is ambivalence. They want to do also, they don't want to do also. Then it might be associated with mannerism stereotypes. Stereotypes is doing the repeatedly same behavior. It might be verbal or it might be behavioral also. And automatic obedience, that is, whatever you tell, they follow it that automatically. Even though it may seem impossible, but they still try to follow it. That is automatic obedience. You tell them to sit, they'll sit at that moment only. And verbigeration, where there is the speech will be incomprehensible. Catatonia may also be associated with increased psychomotor, like there is excited and stuporous, like depressed catatonia. So in excited catatonia, there might be increased psychomotor activity. They might be not sitting in one place, wandering around here or there, restlessness, agitation, excitement, aggressiveness also, and it might also sometimes have violent behavior also. So the common catatonic behavior, rigidity or stupor that lasts for hours or even days. They just stand at there. Performance of strange movements and staying in uncomfortable positions without shifting. That is waxy flexibility also there. Erratic and extreme movement and echolalia and also echopraxia. Thank you.